Hey guys, we're back. Saralise and myself, we're back for part 2 on Circle Healing Network today. We told you guys that, we kind of stopped the conversation because both of us had to get on to the next. So we really wanted to just come right back and keep on talking about, faux reality creators, commonly known also as false prophets. And we'll talk about the differences as we see them, because Saralise and I have talked about this. And we think that the idea behind false prophets is really expanded. So we want to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of our Mandela Effect experiences, things that we're seeing are just really escalating and amping up. Exactly. So we'll just continue the conversation. We've already had about a 45-minute conversation. And then Saralise said, "Robin, did you turn the thing on?" And I'm like, "No." She said, "Can we start the show?" We always do this. So
we're just babbling away.
Yeah, we're having a good time. So listen, guys, thank you. Thanks for joining. Here again, remember, any questions, comments you have, we're more than happy to answer it. Anything that's coming up for you, please share. And as I read your comments, I'll also share it on the show. The whole idea of this program, us coming on like we're doing right through here, is really just to try to end a more divine feminine, a more Gaia Sophia way. Talk about and expose the way the energy is working on the planet, and how do we incorporate this in a way that is powerful and that will help us dodge a lot of landmines. So, because those landmines are everywhere. Oh my goodness. It's like we were talking about, we were talking about how what the encoding program is in the Matrix. And that program running all the time it's full of landmines at every turn. So why don't we go ahead and get started here? And why don't you share some of the things that are on your mind right now, Saralise, around all of this, and we'll get started. I'll let you open it.
Actually, I was going to ask you, Robin, if you wanted to share about the program that is implemented into the Matrix, the Divide and Conquer program we were talking about specifically, and that
sure,
how that operates. Because what we're noticing is that as we talk about these things, we notice that there's a very specific program that gets placed into the Matrix at very specific points to keep the Divide and Conquer frequency in place and to keep it operating and functioning, to keep people under mind control and under hosted situations. So what happens is the program will be running, and it will allow somebody who has been either previously programmed through mind control or just previously programmed through society to have a very specific program running in them. And then that program will get activated in them somehow, and the energy will come in, and the host, the person, will then host this energy and flip us on a dime, literally flip the switch, and will attack.
Yes.
And that is then designed to dismantle any sort of strength or power that's been gained within the bond between two people, number one. And number two, if somebody's coming into their power, let's say someone's shining and being like, oh, they're singing, there's light coming in, rainbow light, and all of a sudden, wham, somebody comes out of nowhere, or a trusted, very trusted individual in that person's life who they trust and implicitly have a heart wide open to.
Yes.
Right? And they'll come in and go for the jugular, you
yes.
know? And then it's like all of a sudden the person's head is spinning and they're like, what? It's like poltergeist, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, what's happening? And that is an interdimensional being who is being hosted by the person who has that program running, who doesn't necessarily have the tools to be able to circumvent that or prevent that from happening. Whereas some of us, in our voice of reason, would never allow that to come through us. We'd feel it and we'd be like, no, like,
right,
that will not happen, So for me, it's like that energy can't enter my field, just will not happen. but they know how to get me, right? Because of my core stuff, right? And my core stuff, I've worked through a lot of my core stuff. So then they'll come around from another angle.
Yep.
So they'll try any angle they possibly can to get into my field, to be able to harness my energy, to literally harvest my energy. They'll hook into me. They'll find ways to siphon my energy off, so that then I'm off track, or I'm out of my center, or, you know, when I'm in my power, they can't really touch me, right? But even when I'm in my power, if even I mean, literally the idiosyncrasies, like the slightest millimeter off, you know, and I have a moment where I question something, boom.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I have to be so present and 100% present and aware of every moment, and be completely present in the moment in order for that to stay. I can't check out. You know, it's been years since I've actually checked out, you know. I don't space out at all, because it's not an option. Really, for me. So to speak to that, I'm noticing, in witnessing some of the Mandela effects that people are sharing, it like their partners, you know, like they're like, this is not my husband. Who is this person?
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Possible, you know? And so, but then you discovered, right, that you had to sit down and discovered with your own partner that you guys were in this, the program had been activated. And so it's like, all of a sudden you're like, what's going on? And both of you noticed it, and were able to come back into that resonance field together.
Right.
So this is the key about communication with other, you know, with your partners and with people that are close to you. It's hard to talk about this stuff, but it's like, right now it seems incredibly necessary to pay attention to your field and to be present.
Right. And I think also what's happening is that even though our awareness and all of our awarenesses are escalating based upon our experiences, our you know, what we do with our energy bodies, what, you know, what the kind of activities we involve ourselves in. So everything's kind of happening on these various, let's say, levels, for the sake of a better word. I don't think about levels as higher or lower, but just it's on these various planes.
Right.
And
exactly.
And I think what I started noticing, well, you know, I know when I started shedding a lot of my paradigms. I mean, there were paradigms that I was still holding on to. Like, one of them was religion, organized religion. You know, I believe in a greater being. I believe in a Christ consciousness, as I believe in there's other consciousness that are out there, angelic consciousness. There's all kind of planetary consciousnesses. But as an organized religion, I mean, I had to shed that. So, I mean, I dumped probably about 6 years ago major paradigms. And I just said, I got to walk away from this, because this is definitely feeling mechanistic. Okay.
Right.
So as a result of that,
I have somebody coming in real quick in the door, just so you know.
That's okay. Thanks.
Go ahead.
As a result of that, I noticed my awareness was more, like you were talking about, you know, I'm having just more awareness about what's going on around me, what people are saying. I try to approach my relationships more sort of one-on-one, and trying to watch my emotional responses, you know, match against the other person's, all that kind of stuff. Not a perfect system here, because I'm still shedding paradigms, and I'm also still getting used to this whole Mandela-esque world that we're living in, with all these shifts.
Parallel time, or your different timeline.
But what I did realize is that what I started noticing is, and I'm sharing this because as others listen to this, I want you to kind of, the audience, sort of reflect on this same thing and see if they're having these experiences, where I started recognizing the shifts between the Mandela parallels as an emotional energetic. Like, inside of me, I can sense that energetically I'm vibrating at a different frequency. I feel the same way inside. I'm thinking the same things. But something inside just feels like a little off. And I'm like, And then
or maybe just a little different, not necessarily off.
No, I would feel it was off, because that's how I could tell
you.
it was a different parallel. It wasn't my calm, harmonious, relaxed place that I had come to when I was shedding all those paradigms. It felt more stressed, more old 3D type of energy.
Right, like core programs that may have been
trying to course through
conditioned belief systems that were present when you were younger,
or just even
prior to the shift of you shedding these paradigms.
Right. Or even prior to the last paradigm, if I shed it 2 days ago, whatever it is.
Right.
Shedding these paradigms. Well, anyway, the point of this is that's what I started noticing. So this is what I want to say to the audience. When you get that sense that you feel like you might be a little off, like something that doesn't feel quite right, watch what's happening around you. Watch and see if you see any of the other Mandela effects. See if your partner seems a little different. See if you're driving along and the stop sign doesn't look like it was turned that direction. It looks like something, or look at the night sky.
If you can notice a timeline shift is what you're saying.
That's a big one. See, this is what I'm trying to be careful of, Saralise. I'm trying not to call it timeline. Because I don't think it's a timeline. I'm using
old verbiage.
Yeah, exactly. But so I think
it actually isn't. You're right. It's not.
Yeah. I feel like it's more of an energetic. All I can do is say that I recognize it on an energetic level. I feel like it's a frequency. Is it the 527? Is it the 459? Whatever frequency. It's like you to balance frequency, just the same way that love is resonating at this frequency, but anger and fear are resonating down there. It seems like you can start feeling these frequencies moving through your core body, is a point I want to get across.
Absolutely.
So, therefore, if you start noticing that you've gone into fear or you've gone into anger, it will have a frequency and you can start feeling it in the body. When that happens, you've probably done some sort of shift. But moreover, watch what's running through your mind as you're sitting there.
The thought forms.
Listen to the thoughts, because the thoughts I'm proposing, and you and I talked about this before we got on air, I propose that is a matrix programming. It's a downloaded program in the hologram
that then you somehow are receiving.
That you do receive, because now that frequency, that hurts frequency, has gone into fear, it's gone into resentment, it's gone into here he goes again, or here she goes again, or I remember when so-and-so said that to me, it made me feel like this, and so now I got to put my guard up. Watch what's running through your mind, because that's a matrix program. And when you were saying earlier about our response to it, what I realized is that if you respond to subtle energies like you and I do, like it's subtle things we sense, then the matrix sends in a program that's subtle. So you don't even really know what's going on until it starts activating and you start thinking and saying, but then some folks that are out there banging their head against the wall because they're not even awakened to the fact that there's any different things going on in the planet, then they get slammed with that program. And that's oftentimes why they can be aggressive, why they flick off at you, why they have a tendency to have more hosting going on. They have a tendency to be open more to hosting.
Their energy field is more susceptible.
Yep.
Because they haven't established a strong energy body. Or what also happens in my experience.
But it's also like getting their attention. See, people who are like resonating they haven't awakened yet. It takes more. It's like you got to shake them harder. Like, listen to me. There's such a thing as a Mandela effect. Where when you first heard about, or I first heard about the Mandela effect, it was more subtle. We could listen and think, I could see how some of that could be going on. It was more of a subtle. That's what I think what it is. And so the program is going to come in at the level of where you respond.
They're at in their consciousness.
The hearing. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Yeah. So in relation to that, I think it's really important to speak to childhood trauma. A lot of times in the first 3 years of life, depending on what happened to someone, right?
Yes.
It really the first 7 years, because at 7 years old is where the core trauma patterns get imprinted for life, right?
Yep.
So between the first 7 years of development in a child, the opportunities for trauma patterning to happen are numerous. You know, they can happen in all these different ways. So like, let's say there's a kid who had like a magical, you know, life between the years of 1 and 7, and then at 8 years old, that kid had their parents divorced or something like that, right?
Right.
And then you have a kid that from birth has been beaten, yelled at, spat at, whatever. Excuse me. And that kid, by the time that kid's 7, there's so much trauma patterning in the central nervous system that has been being developed through the process of the development of that child, that they're already in PTSD. They're already experiencing all of that.
Right, right.
And depending on the love that they received as a child as well, or who was their handler, who was controlling them, who was their main programmer. There's all of those factors that we experience here in America more. I mean, it happens in other countries too, but in America specifically, there's more of a broad spectrum of people that are dealing with this, and people don't realize that this is what's going on. So then what happens is they think that it's them. Because it was developed so early on that it allowed the portal to be open, excuse me, from behind them for these interdimensional beings to then enter and control their reality. Okay. So what that means is that, excuse me.
No, I know it's.
Hold on. So guys, what I'm doing right now is I'm just casting a circle of white light around us. We forgot to do that. We forgot to
yeah, we did.
Put up the shield. Shields up. Woo! Okay. So, as I was saying, in the work that I do, we go back into the core traumas and we take the power back from those places within us that are carrying the core trauma that then creates a pattern that then repeats itself through your adult life.
Right.
And so then we go in and take your power back from that pattern and you integrate it. And then the charge from that trauma pattern is released and integrated. Right?
Yes.
So what happens is they have it like certain, this is getting into bloodlines again, but they have certain people that they're actually watching, certain bloodlines, certain families, military, you know, all of that, right? So this actually ties into like American society in a very big way, because the majority of the population at this point, excuse me, holy shit, they don't want me to talk about this. This is fascinating.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
The majority of the population, right, is designed under mind control from childhood. And so we think we have these thoughts, right? They're not actually ours at all. They're in a collective mass mind control meme that is running through the collective consciousness of our society.
It's programs that are running very much like you open up a particular program, app on your phone, you know, one, you know, edits pictures, like another does things. So as that, and those apps are in flow, and wherever we are energetically or emotionally, we actually still connect to them. So it's becoming aware of them to disconnect.
Yes,
go ahead.
Exactly. So once we recognize that there's a program running that's not of our own making, what happens usually, until you discover that it's usually until you have like a moment of peace, right? And you have this expansive awareness and you become one with everything. And then once that happens, then when you go back through, those programs no longer have the same level of power and control over you. And so you start to see that it's foreign to your natural state of well-being, which is bliss. right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I never cough. Just so you guys know, I like do not cough. It's
I'm over
not
here.
normal.
I'm over here avoiding it myself, and this is a great illustration
of what can
Let
happen.
me say
because
this. Yeah, this is a
it's
great
like they're actually
illustration.
tickling my throat. Like they're not tickling it; they're going. They're trying to stop me from talking, and it's not going to
See
work.
what I think is happening, and I agree to that.
It's not even a program.
Well, I think for me, I do believe it is a program, the way I view it, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Well, right now for me, it's not a program. I'm feeling like it's actually like a physical thing.
It is physical, but the program can stimulate certain aspects of the physical body to create a physical thing, because once you started coughing, I wasn't thinking about coughing. All of a sudden, my throat has started to become itchy and scratchy. So what's happening, whatever program, and it comes through plasma, so it comes through the computers, it's all around us. It does begin to have physical sensations, just like, for instance, sexuality. You could be sitting here not even thinking about sex, and all of a sudden a program will start running that will begin
to turn your body.
Right, exactly. So I want people to realize that it isn't, I mean, it does, you'll come down into the physical body.
Realms. Yeah, and also, that's the thing is, like, if you have a program in you from childhood, right? Like I do, or have had in the past. If there's a program in me that is specifically connected to not speaking the truth, or not being able to speak the truth, or like that one was a big one for me. Like, you will be seen and not heard. You know?
Right, exactly.
And so that program is just the main program that my father implanted first.
Mm-hmm.
But then that was then enhanced and imprinted over and 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 over again my entire life, but in all these different ways, right? To the point where I have had such a hard time speaking publicly. It's public. It's not even like in person. It's just public.
Right.
Because they know that I will speak. They know that I'm going to speak to what is the truth, and they know that I'm a truth sayer and that I'm not going to stop. Right. So they have put all these things in place to keep me from speaking the truth. Now, I'm talking specifically military. So please understand, not everybody has this, but a lot of us do. A lot of us souls that had came in with a particular mission to shift the consciousness on the planet, which is a lot of us, right? I mean, almost every human on the planet came at this time for a very specific reason, and that was to boost the collective consciousness and to bring it to the next level. That's just my belief.
Right.
And so some of us have been predestined or pre-programmed, pre-birth, all that, like, in other words, we were chosen pre-birth for this particular program to keep us in place, to keep us in line.
Right.
Or whatever, So,
yeah,
for me, people refer to it sometimes as targeted individual, using that phrase. I specifically don't sit there and say I'm a targeted individual, because I don't think it serves me to focus my energies in that direction. However, in this case, this was an example of something like that.
Right.
And so for me, what am I going to do? I'm going to speak even deeper to what's happening. I'm going to speak even more about the truth. I'm going to speak past what I was originally going to say, and I'm going to go deeper into this so that people out there who are experiencing this can understand that it's actually real.
Yes.
And that it's not their imagination, and that they didn't make it up.
Right.
So here's the point about the Mandela Effect and what's happening with people and interpersonal relationships. There are so many programs running in the collective to keep us out of our power.
Tons of them.
Tons. And so we as individuals get to choose with discernment, what it is that we choose to interact with, and what it is that we choose to engage with, and whether or not we choose to buy into that program that's running in someone else or in ourselves. because there's suicide programs. There's all kinds of programs that are running right now. And right now, because of the cosmic energies that have been deposited on the planet, they've amped those up. Like, they've ramped them up so intensely to keep everything under control, because they're losing control so completely right now.
Right.
And the Mandela effect on top of it all has made them scamper, because the Mandela effect is on its own. It's doing whatever it wants to do. We don't have any control over the Mandela effect. Nobody does.
No.
It's literally doing its own thing. It has its own reality.
Right.
That continually is changing and growing and moving, and buildings are disappearing, buildings are appearing, things are happening.
Tell me about it.
People are disappearing. People that were in the other reality are not in this reality.
Right.
Like, that's huge. Like, people
I know, because even
we knew are no longer here. Like, what is that?
And one of the things I want to share, is that just on the buildings appearing and disappearing, because it's kind of like the teacher in me. So when I do these shows or I share with people, I normally do it by example, because that's what I do. So by example, for instance, you do come across a lot of YouTube videos where people are saying, oh, this person died, now they're back alive, or personal experiences. We know the bigger names out there that were supposed to be dead, then they were alive, and then they died again. Or buildings and stuff. And I'm gonna tell you, I definitely had that experience a few months back when I was driving in my community. So maybe about a mile from where my house is. It's a street that I go down all the time. So you figure within a 1 mile radius of your house is my post office, right? So the street that I leave to go from my house down, make a left turn, and go down to the post office, this is the way 9 times out of 10 I always go to the post office. There's another way around, but I always go that way because it's the shortest way. So maybe even longer than that, maybe about 6 or 7 months ago, I'm heading to the post office, and I'm driving down this street. Now, this street has, when you first turn on it, there's a high school. Then there's kind of open baseball fields. Then there's a hotel or something. No, it's not a hotel there. Then it's a housing community. And on the right, that's on the left side. On the right side, it basically were open fields until you got to a medical complex, or a complex of office buildings, low office buildings that normally where you have dental offices and small businesses and stuff like that. And it's right opposite the post office.
Right.
So I go down that street, make a left, go into the post office. Well, this one particular day when this first occurred, I'm driving down the street and everything's looking the same, and the fields are open on the right-hand side. Then all of a sudden, I see a completed building with cars in the parking lot. The thing is paved. It's a building. It ended up being an assisted living facility.
Oh, wow.
With cars and everything in the parking lot. People moved in, furniture was there. Now,
and do you remember exactly what was there before?
An open field. There was zero there.
Oh,
there
was an open field.
There was just a field.
So like from one day to the next, or like
now let's say one day to the next. Let's say probably within I don't go to the post office every day, but with the work that I do, I go to the post office a couple times a month. So let's say within
a couple of weeks,
within a 4-week period, let's just say, outside, I only went there once that month. And this is the way I go. A completely, fully developed building was sitting there, to the point that I was like, oh my God. I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute. And I'm looking back to see where the field, because the only thing that happened next were these little medical buildings.
Weird.
And I'm thinking, where in the hell did this come from? It really blew my mind. So I go to the post office and I come out, and now I'm driving down the street and I'm looking like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. Okay. So the building's there. A month later, for whatever reason, the building is there. So I even asked my partner, I said, hey, when last time you went to the post office, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no, I don't remember seeing anything there, just the fields. So we go down there, and I said, I said, let me take you. And he's like, where did that come from?
So he also, wow.
Yep. So Since that time, another building has appeared next to it. However, in that case, with the second building, it was like I'm driving down a field, and then the building that just appeared was there, right? Then at one point, maybe over a 6-week period or something like that, I drive down, and the second building is half built. So this time I caught it half built in a 6-week period, from an open field to construction everywhere, and the building is halfway done.
Right.
So whatever is happening, this timeline is just developing, and it's not consistent with the timeline that I think that I'm on.
I see.
You know, and I think that's something that's somewhat of what's happening with these buildings happening, because popping up out of nowhere. It's like we're also going back and forth some kind of way as well. But I've definitely experienced, and I can't say I understand it, but I've definitely experienced that about 8 months ago.
Interesting. Well, even in the last month that I've been here, well, I noticed it in Peru. Okay, something happened in Peru after I did that work. But then when I came back to the US in Ashland, and now in Boulder, I've noticed things, even though I'm not from Boulder and I don't know Boulder that well, I've already noticed things happening here.
Right, like, exactly. What's happening?
What's going on? Like, literally, what is going on? Didn't wait. You know, and so I'm having all these questions about the reality, because it's like 1 minute it's totally this way, and the next week it's completely different, and there's no way that could have happened. And I can't even give the example anymore because I don't have them in my head, but I should be writing these down. I should be keeping track of all these, but I don't, because it's just so much.
Believe that is what's happening. And I think that, as I did a video on this a while back, that I believe that if you really start connecting to these subtle energies and these subtle feelings, like I told you that earlier, that I was speaking about earlier, the frequency shifts, that we totally are creating this reality. We totally are manifesting what we want to manifest.
Right.
And we are not, or we are either we're manifesting for the good or for the not so good. You know what I mean? Yeah. It depends on where you are. If you kind of feel that things are sucking and this is that, that's what we're bringing in. And I'm seeing it in so many small ways. Like if I think about something, like for instance, I'll give this example. This is because this is all practical everyday thing. So I had been looking at, I'm into, I've always been into numismatic stuff, you know, coins and stamps, a lot of stamps and stuff like that. But recently I started watching some of the YouTube videos on money and the whole serial number thing and I just find it fascinating. Just fascinating. So I'm like watching these people on the YouTube are doing it and everything. Well, I'm just learning a lot. So anyhow, I thought to myself, wow, I want some of those bills. I want some of those odd bills, you know, like, so I'm going through, so I go through a stack of money that I had, you know, and I'm looking and I saw one or two odd things, you know, and they were just kind of average odd. And I'm like, I want a real odd one. So this has only been going on for maybe about 2 weeks now that I really kind of went down this rabbit hole. Well, anyhow, my son came in today and he was giving me some money and he said, and I said, oh, by the way, because he's into stocks and all that kind of stuff and he likes investment stuff. So I said, by the way, start looking at your money because you want to look for bookends and binary numbers and quads and all this stuff, right? And so I said, for instance, so he'd give me these two bills. So I said, for instance, look, and I looked at the 20. Oh my God.
And it was an odd.
It was two bookends. So this is the number 32, 07, 07, 32. So 32,
oh my God.
32 are two bookends.
Yep.
The 0707 are binaries.
Right.
And then 3207 and 0732 are what they call radar, which are opposites of each other. Yeah. So now you've got four of them on one note. Then what hit me was that if you take 3, 2 together, that's a 5. 7 and 7 together is a 14, which reduces to a 5. and
It's
3, 2.
555.
So it's 555. I'm like, this $20 bill is like worth $300 just
Right.
because of that situation.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I sat there and I thought, you manifested this.
Yes, you did.
Because I just kept on saying, I want one of those. I want one of those. And I'm just playing and having fun with it, you know?
Right.
And, I mean, so I think I want to use it as an example. I really believe that it's just that easy. And I think that all these Archon programs and all these alien programs and all of these
whatever they are,
pedophile programs and all of these hate programs and fear and race relations and homophobia, all of these programs are constantly running, and they're beating us up to keep us constantly trying to do like this from all this stuff, so that we can't just sit back and just, because we're manifesting automatically. We have moved into a frequency that you can manifest just by thinking. But if your energy is down here and you're constantly at war, you're trying to fight off, you're just trying to get through the day. And by the time you get through the day, you sit on the couch and you go, oh, you can't even think about what you want to manifest.
Exactly.
And I really believe that that's what
keeps everyone distracted.
Yes, exactly.
And so that brings me to the point of the rainbow sphere of light and how important the energy work is in creating a field around yourself.
Yes.
Where you're tapping into source.
Yes.
Rather than having to deal with all of these programs that are running in the field that are bombarding us and making us energetically even more sensitive and more empathic than we already were.
Right.
Because what's happened now is, you know, with the wireless and everything else, the EMFs, like it's a constant bombardment of energy, like coming at us from all angles. And so what people are doing, rather than creating a field for themselves and tapping into the earth with the magneto-electric sphere, right? Or flat plane, whatever. What they're doing is they're turning to something to comfort them. They're self-medicating.
Right.
They're going towards alcohol or pot or cigarettes to ground. What they're trying to do is actually just ground.
And the other thing I think is on the phones, the games, all the games,
phone.
Tetris and this and that and Candy Crush.
It's definitely
the
phone. They're trying to check out enough just to get their, what they're doing is they're trying to, it's Facebook, it's all of those things. They're trying really hard to keep themselves grounded. Yes. And so they're having to move in, like, so they'll just sit there and scroll through Facebook for like, you know, a couple hours.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you're like, people are trying to ground.
Yes.
You know?
You're trying to ground.
And so then this mechanism then starts to suck you in. And it's another program, right?
Yes, it is. So it's another program.
So then you're really never connecting. Yep. You're actually disconnecting. So, and because you want to connect socially through Facebook, for example, or Instagram or Twitter, because we are desperately trying to ground.
Yes, I agree.
Our energies. So people that are living out in nature that are off grid, you look at them, they walk barefoot, you know, they're literally like glowing, their skin, their eyes, and they're like super relaxed and they have no interest in the internet whatsoever. They're just like, whatever. I don't, you know, I get it all from here. You know, they're just like,
exactly.
They don't need any of that.
Direct downloads.
And at the same time, that's not necessarily a healthy dynamic either, because we need to be engaged in the world and what's going on with it right now, and to be present and available to be able to work through this shift that we're in. So that's a key piece too, is that we can't just deny, you know, what's happening.
It's like a number of the spiritual practices talk about, you know, that you can be in it, but not of it. And that's
what I was getting to.
In it, but you can't be of it, you know, so that you can,
so
you know.
then when you call in your source energy into your body, you can be in the world, but not of it, but you actually have your source light energy operating through you. And so the tools that I am creating or have created over a long period of time, and also I believe I was given, you know, those tools are pertinent to our embodiment right now. Like,
yes, exactly.
creating a field for ourselves and within which to clear and to know and have awareness around those things. And a lot of people do, but there's a lot of really specific tools that they may not know or have or whatever.
Precisely. Exactly.
So I'm actually offering a video right now for donation through my PayPal, and I can send it to the person with that set of, like, just a really basic daily thing.
Oh, that's
that
good.
People can use.
That'd be good.
Because everybody keeps asking me to do a video.
Yeah.
For one. And for two, I just feel like it's super important with the discernment that we need to have right now, that we have that field available to us so that there's a space between us and whatever is our environment around us, so that we do have a little bit of a pad.
Right.
And it's important for us to practice that. And where we're going, hopefully in the future, we won't need that level of padding, but right now we do. Right now we do.
It's so important.
So I'm offering that through my PayPal.me.
So that'll be for donation of any amount. You'll be able to send them these videos. This is with your frequencies and the tuning and the toning and what have you that you do with the voice.
Well, I have those combination. Videos. If someone's curious about some of my other stuff, they can go to my YouTube channel as well.
Okay.
But this particularly that I'm talking about is an energetic responsibility video.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
It's related to my online course, but it's it's just a basic.
Okay, perfect.
I'm just going to do a quick basic video, or I'm going to edit it in such a way that it's just a really simple system that people can use.
Well, I think right now that's what people need. You need it to be easy, quick and easy. Yeah, not a whole lot. We have enough going on.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how long the video is going to be after I edit it, but it'll be enough. It'll be great, whatever it is, because I already know, the footage and all that. So
good. Perfect.
So you can donate through paypal.me/Saralise, and I'm absolutely happy to contact you and then, give you that video link for the YouTube.
Because what they can do is I think even when you pay on PayPal, you include your email. And then I'm pretty sure the email that you could be able to send it back to that email.
It back to them.
Mm-hmm. Email, exactly. So they should use one that they can receive a video. That would be less talking back and forth and all that kind of stuff. Unless in the notes they want to put a video that they would want to send to, because you have that note section when you do PayPal gifts. Exactly. Yeah, they can just put that email in the notes. Now that'd be awesome. That'd be really cool, because I think that
I just feel like everyone's asking me, and so I just feel like Spirit is saying, "Hey, do this, because this is powerful." I did a ceremony on Sunday. Actually, I want to share with you.
Oh yeah, tell us about the ceremony. Yeah, for sure.
I did a DNA source code activation ceremony on Sunday with a group of people in a sanctuary in a beautiful space, and it was super potent. And fortunately for me, I was able to be very present with each individual. I really made a point of doing that so that each person would get the support that they needed. And sometimes when I do them at festivals, there's like 150 people, and it's not as easy for me to be one-on-one with people. But in this particular, I had not 150 people. So I was able to do a much more personalized event.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so beautiful when that happens, because you're able to really be present with this with the individual soul and being and person in front of you. And so we moved through a lot of densities, and we cleared them, and we brought them to Gaia, and we brought them up through the cosmic tube of light. And those people have been reporting back to me now in the last couple of days of all these, because it's an unraveling process, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I don't do them very often. I rarely do a DNA source code activation ceremony. I have been, it's sort of when I'm called to do it that I do it, because it's a very specific soul group that's asking for it.
Right.
So this particular group of people, they were all from Denver.
Oh, wow.
Which is really like, I'm in Boulder, they're from Denver. So they all drove up for an hour to come to this event.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really profound that they all showed up and they're just like descended upon Boulder, you know. And so what was interesting about it was there was a mother and son there, and he was a grown son. He was in his 20s, and so he was able to release things related to his father, which was her ex-partner, right?
Right.
And so there was this whole thing that, like, it was a family structured healing that took place between all of the, it was really powerful, like incredibly powerful. And then, you know, we were able to remove a bunch of hosted interdimensional beings from some of the other people, and then they came into their power. So like when we went, we actually had fellowship afterwards, and we went to eat, and so we were all dressed in white, so you can imagine we're walking through Boulder, and this guy, there's a whole group of people standing outside this restaurant,
right?
We're walking up, and I'm like in the center, of course, and I'm walking, and the guy's like, I need a hug. And I said, I stopped, and I was like, so you want to give a hug? Is that what you know, are you asking to give a hug? Is that what you would like? And he's like, yeah.
Right.
So then I gave him a hug, and I held him like longer than he was going to do. And I actually gave him a ton of energy. And there were like 10 people standing there watching this happen, right?
Right.
And they were all just like, whoa, you know, like she's really actually giving him a hug, you know?
Right, exactly.
And then I pulled away from, like, I naturally pulled away from them. And he was just like so disoriented and like didn't know what to do, because I had given him love he'd never, I could tell he had never been penetrated in his heart like that before. And it was like this profound moment for him. And he just looked in my eyes, and I just bowed to him. You like, blessings to you, brother.
Right. Yes.
And then I walked in, and then everybody else was like, well, wait, we want hugs too. I was like, I literally put my hand up like,
I can't do this. Yeah.
It's all good. You know, it was just like this moment of like, people are so
thirsty for
craving and thirsty for true light,
relationship,
true love, like it's so evident.
It is,
you know. And so all of us were like just glowing in our white, you know. We all go into this taco place. It was really funny.
So let's also talk. We'll finish up on that one. Then I want to sort of move into let's talk about the faux reality creators, because I wanted to spend a little time on that from the standpoint, just to help the audience also sort of think through that there's a lot of deception that's happening. And I don't really believe that it doesn't start at the source of deception, because many of us who are on this path, who are seeing what's going on, who are being able to relate to it, are smart enough to not be fooled by your normal dose of deception.
Either that or that we've been through it so many times that it's like,
but also however, well, I think so, but I don't know.
That we become smart, you know? Because of our experience of all the crazy shit.
I think that through experiential for sure. But I think that additionally, I kind of lost my train of thought. The point that I was going for was that that it's important for us to see that most people, you know, people are not all good or all bad. So often we're living in this duality now where it's black or white, you know. So either that person,
hence your shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Your zebra print.
Yeah. Either people are inherently good or they are inherently bad. And I say that's not true.
That's not true at all. That's basically a dualistic framework.
Right. What's happening is that people, I believe, especially now as energies are elevating, people are coming onto the path to share something, like we're sharing things. But if you're not careful, your ego and other programs that we talked about earlier will get in the way, and you will start going down the predictable path of feeling that you're above the people who you've come to share things with, or the people that you want to connect with, or other people, your peers, who are on the path sharing things their way, some kind of way, if their way butts up against our way, and they may say, leave a little comment on our channel that we didn't quite like, oh, it's all out assault attack. And when you start seeing these things, and I'm speaking to our audience right now, that it's important to think that a person could actually get to a place that's not quite healthy, maybe for you to connect energetically with, through their show or their books or their workshops or their whatever.
Yeah.
Because they've allowed that program to really run in them to the point that their message has gotten diluted, which is what the program is trying to do.
Or they're regurgitating information and it's not even original.
Well, that's happening a lot out there, even for people who are really.
But they're being put in a position of authority.
Right. So, additionally, though, what I want to say is that what I'm trying to get to is that's the normal thing that you guys and we all see. However, the new programming has been, a lot of these teenagers are getting on and doing these shows and doing the Mandela shows and doing this and doing that. And it's like, it's just, you can see there's just this massive programming that's happening. And so it's almost like the matrix has gotten, trying to get a little trickier and say, well, let's introduce talking dogs and cute little cats that will say stuff about Mandela, say things about energy. And we'll be going like, oh, but the energy, the programming that's come across from them is totally deceptive. It's totally designed to snake you in another way. So you're like, oh, the cute little kid.
Because they came in the back door with the kid.
They came in the back door, and everything, that energy is just so sweet and adorable or whatever. You guys can fill it in. But the point is, buyer beware.
Kid
because
genius,
it's getting more and more. And I'm not one to go and talk about anyone's journey or anything like that. I try to stay away from that on this channel just because I don't want to deal with the bullshit, just to be honest with you. I don't feel like dealing with 500,000 people writing a ton of comments. My daughter, my 16-year-old calls it keyboard warriors. I love it. When she said that, she's like, all these keyboard warriors. I'm like, oh, you got that. That is a perfect
That's exactly what it is.
description for them. But I want to talk a little bit about that just to help people sort of see and begin to ferret through that. And I think for me, the final thing I like to say, for me, what it does, it goes back to the solar plexus. It goes back to the base chakra. It goes back to the place that everything's created up out of. What does it feel like there? If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't matter whether or not you can speak physics, whether or not you can speak science or mathematics, whether or not you understood history from the Paleolithic era, because somebody is speaking on that level and you don't know, that matters not. If it doesn't feel right, click the channel, turn it off, and you don't have to explain to anyone else why you turned it off. It just, I can't tell y'all why. I just know it didn't feel right, and I don't want to hear it. It doesn't seem right, And I think it's a way, and it's a subtle space, because on one hand, you want to make sure that the program of cognitive dissonance isn't running, like you just are shutting stuff off because cognitively it's against some of your other paradigms, and I'm not going to let it in. So make sure, but only you can still check in with yourself to make sure it's not cognitive dissonance, but at the same time, just energetically, it wasn't hitting me right. Maybe even for right now, maybe in a month, I can come back to it and I'll see some things a little differently. So I wanted to put that out from the standpoint of our faux reality creators.
So definitely I want to speak to the cognitive dissonance and then a full resonant yes. Right? You know when you get truth bumps and your body is in chills, or that's a dramatic version of it. But even so, when you feel like your body goes with information, you know alignment. The truth, it becomes an alignment that you feel in your body, or the truth is so strong, it's actually blasting through all your other programs and your old paradigm thinking, and your body is like in shock almost, because it's like, oh, how could this be true? But then something in you is like, oh my God, this is true.
Right.
And that's the
Yeah.
whole thing with the Mandela effect. It's like,
Right.
it's real. We're all experiencing it to certain degrees, to different degrees, but whether or not we understand that the depths of that truth
Right.
is another story.
Is a different story. Yes.
Right. So, but then also speaking to the gut, the core gut feeling that you get, your instinct, you're like, boom, I know this, you know, like this does not feel good. So in the ceremony, one of the things I did is we went into the womb, the creative seat, life force, power, energy center, and we cleared that shit out.
Right. Exactly.
You know? And so that's something, the womb cleansing and the hara cleansing for the men, I feel is crucial at this time.
Yes, definitely.
Because there's so much going on down there. I mean, there's hooks and cords and circuitries, and that's how they hook into us so that they can siphon off our creative life force energy. And so we need to take control of that aspect of our reality, right? We need to be in charge of what's going on.
Yes, exactly.
And that's where we're going to generate our life force and our creativity from. And if we may be naturally doing it, but when it gets all gooky and there's people pulling on us, we lose our center. We lose our, you know, our navigational skills.
Yes. Yeah.
So the way that we can really tap into that is something that I'm going to share in that video, because I think that this is such a huge piece for so many people right now, is to really like, people are like, I'm not receiving, I can't find my intuition, I'm not receiving information. Like, it's because there's been a buildup.
Yes.
And there's the access has been somehow messed with or whatever. So that's one of the big pieces with these beings, is to make it so that you can't access your instinct and your intuition. So you got to really tap into that and really trust yourself.
Right.
And most people don't trust themselves, even if they're like, you know, been doing this a long time, they're still, you know, they don't
There's a lot
want
going
to
on.
Trust themselves. Yeah. So there's that big piece that it's about trusting your gut, like really trusting what you're getting. And then if you don't trust it, go in there and find out why.
Right.
You know,
and also
because these false prophets, they are so good.
Yeah.
They are so good at making you feel like you can't trust yourself. That is their key. Like, that they have the information and you don't, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And that they know what's best. Or that they have the answers. Or that they've figured it out.
Right.
Even if they're like, oh, well, it's just a theory. But, you know, this is my blah, blah, blah. And I'm claiming this. And, you know, some of us, it's important for us to own our power.
Right.
It is important for us to own our power. So there's a difference between owning your power and being in your ego and saying that you are a prophet.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So that's like a whole different ballgame. But what happens is these energies tap in through the ego and through fear. So they get you on either side of the equation. And they tap into your emotional body and your pain body and your energy body. So if we're not dealing with those and being self-responsible for that stuff, we're going to fall for all kinds of crazy stuff. We may question it.
Right.
But it's still going in, and then it eventually gets accepted as an idea. So it's like really important to know what we're accepting as ideas or not.
Exactly. And I think I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think also what's going on is that, you know, looking for false prophets in all
areas,
wrong places. Exactly. Like, people are thinking, oh, just spirituality, just new age, or just this.
No,
but
it's everywhere.
It's moved to everywhere.
Movie stars, actresses, like
politicians,
you know, singers,
leaders,
you know, like
of
music
various
industry,
movements and what have you, like that. And one of the things one of the things that really hit me just recently in the last few months, and I say this with the deepest amount of respect for people for women who are having a lot of pain right now, but that pain has been inflicted in this matrix for many a year. Recently, it was given a face as an individual whose name I won't mention, but we all know who we're talking about. It's been given a face. But I want to say that here's some more false prophetry because, or faux reality creators, like I like to say, because
or puppets for those
some of the things that begin to raise the pain level in people are idiotic expressions that then people tie to and let all the emotions run down. For instance,
that's an energy harvesting mechanism.
One of the things that I thought was the craziest thing when I heard it, that I sat and I just stood and looked like this. When one of the people I was talking to said, yeah, for the Women's March, I'm going to have a sign and it's going to be, get your hands off my uterus. And I did like this. I went, okay. Well, that's an overly emotional statement because who the hell, I ain't even had my own hand on my uterus. So I know nobody else has had their hand on my uterus. I mean, how's that physically possible? Unless you're opened up and your doctor's in there some kind of way doing a C-section. I mean, other than that, no one ever had their hand on your uterus. It's an emotional statement to charge the pain that's been existing in this base gut area.
In the sacred bowl.
In your sacred bowl, to then get you to respond to, but it rushes you down the wrong road. It's rushing you down the divine masculine, not even the divine masculine, the patriarch.
Divide and conquer.
The divide and conquer role, not the divine feminine or the divine masculine imbalance. It's designed to send you hair flapping in the wind in a whole nother direction that keeps you off track. That's another matrix programming, and it's only going to cause more pain. And I suggest to people to think about the things that you rally around. First of all,
what are you engaging and investing your energy in?
If it sounds idiotic, it probably is. Because if someone is saying something like idiotic, like, get the straw out my brain. If I say to you, Saralise, get your straw out my brain, I'm just giving you all of the power. Because what I'm suggesting is that you have the ability to put a straw in my brain and suck it out. Like, I don't have the ability to defend myself against something that's not even physically freaking possible anyway. So the minute you say, get your hand off my uterus, you have just declared something that is not even possible. Now you've given your power away to that matrix programming.
The outside source,
You're not claiming it that way. And I just really want people to, and this is happening. That's just one thing, the women's movement. That's the newest thing that I'm seeing that's just zapping. I mean, Gaia is rising up. She's shaking all these fleas off. And when she needs the divine feminine the most to rally around her and just nurture this beautiful creative power that's happening on the planet, we're running behind with the sign talking about get your hand off my pussy and stuff like that. For real? I mean, it's not going to take you down the right path. This is another matrix program.
And you know who paid for that rally, don't you?
Yeah, all the big guys.
George
we know
Soros.
that. Yes, exactly. We know that.
And if anybody who doesn't know who that is, just look him up.
Look it up.
Look him up.
It's the same programming. It's same Mr. Program. Global. It's the same stuff, guys. I'm all for us as female, as the divine feminine, as women, and as men, because the men need their divine feminine and masculine balance just as much. They're just as much a victim of this matrix as we are. So I don't see it as a same thing. It's not women against men. We need to come together and really truly harness both of those energies and balance them and be a part of the community that's going to rally around Gaia. But the minute we keep on doing this other stuff that it's not even logical. It's not even possible. And you let that matrix run in you. And
one thing I'd love to mention about the masculine feminine imbalance. So the divine feminine imbalance, when you're in your divine feminine like too much, right? What happens is you're accommodating everybody, and you're like holding your skirt open, like, oh, you can come in and I'll hold you, and I'm gonna do everything, and I'm gonna just be like the best person ever, and you get the point,
right? Exactly.
And your masculine is completely emasculated,
right?
And then you're like, why does everybody hate me? Right. And the masculine is like completely out of whack, and you can't get anything done, and you can't make money, and it like gets really crazy. And the divine masculine imbalance is when you're pushing too hard. Your force, there's like a force to it, you know? Come on in, babe. My friend is here.
Okay.
So the divine masculine, there's like a force behind it, right?
Right.
And then you're like disconnected from your heart space, and you're not tapping into your intuition and your trust fields around the resonant factor.
Exactly. So what's important here is for us, and we can go ahead and get ready to wrap things up.
Hold on one. Okay, go ahead. You talk for a minute, and I'm gonna just, I'm here.
Okay. Well, we're going to get ready to close things down anyway. So basically, guys, I think we've kind of dealt with the idea that, just sort of think about some of the things that are coming at us. I know we're all really busy. There's a lot going on in our world. But I would suggest anything that you really want to tie your energy to and really kind of either get upset or riled up behind or what have you, to really just think about what's the mechanism behind this. Does it feel, synthetic? Does it not feel quite right? Does it even make sense? Have you gotten yourself all upset over something that's just a little retarded, Think about it like that. And just start watching for some of the things that Saralise and I have talked about today. Just see how some of this may be running in your world. See how you may be being affected by some of these false prophets. And what's interesting, speaking of the Mandela Effect, Saralise, is you have a situation where it wasn't enough that some of the false prophets of old had died. They're back alive again. It's amazing the ones that I know have passed on. They're right back in the pulpit again. Just talking about the same old stuff that we know doesn't serve us. We know it's an old paradigm. So anyway, we really have had a great time coming here today, sharing with you. Saralise is got some stuff going on there in the background, but I know I want her to just jump on and finish. We'll put the links in the bio underneath this video so that if you guys want to take advantage of getting the tapes from her or some of her sessions, I think she's running another special right now, 24-hour special.
I am actually a 24-hour special.
Why don't you share this real quick, and then we'll go ahead and wrap the show up.
Okay, cool. I'm running a special on my Akashic record readings because I feel like right now clarity for people is like super important. And we have our own intuition, but when you tap into your soul's matrix and you're like, I'm just a vessel to relay information, but I'm a clear vessel, right? So if you book within the next 24 hours, I'm going to do a 50% off, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like $55 for a reading is super good.
That's super cool.
That's way cheaper than what I normally charge.
Right. Yeah.
And it's an opportunity to really get in touch with confirm some things that you already probably know, but it's also another way to get information that you might not be readily receiving, and then it just brings a lot of clarity, so
right.
Anyone who really desires that, it's an awesome opportunity because your soul is speaking through me to you, right? And you're going to get your own sense of it anyway, but it's also, you can ask any question you want, and it's awesome.
And it's certainly a way when you connect energetically for people to kind of just get an energy upgrade, because it's almost impossible for that not to happen.
Field. Yeah, when you go into the Akashic field too, that is true. The access to that kind of energy, it's like you get a full receive, a full download of energy as well. When you're in that field, it's like this container where this divine energy is just flowing. So it's really lovely too. It's a really lovely, and they're all so unconditionally loving. Like all the, your soul is unconditionally loving of you. So that's really a beautiful space to be in. If you've, been having some confusion or stress or whatever, it's just nice to have that,
So it's $55 and you're running it for a 24-hour period. How's that working?
Yeah. 24 hours.
Okay. And who should they contact through Powerpriestess at Gmail, or which one?
Powerpriestess@gmail.com.
Okay, and we'll put the link down as well. But
Yeah.
if people want to jump on right now, because you're not going to have very many slots
No,
left, I mean, when you think about it, because it
I'm
takes a
not.
little bit. Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna
So
be like,
people might want to, like, if people want to say, let me just type her right now, powerpriestess@gmail.com, and jump in, because I know you're going to be traveling and you'll be
I'm
out
gonna
the
be
country for a
traveling
couple of weeks, and
for a
then a
month.
move, and then you're getting ready to do some other stuff. I don't want to get ahead of you
Yeah.
announcing what's going on in your life.
This is kind of
but
the last minute option for people to get on board with this opportunity, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to offer it one more time, just to be able to help as many people as I can right now, because I do know that there's just a massive amount of stress going on for a lot of people, and I'm in a strong place, so I feel like I can actually really be of service right now. So I like feel honored to be able to work with such massively awesome souls. It's just such an honor for me to be able to do this work, and so I think that's another reason I want to do it, just to be able to be present and available to be of service.
Good. Yeah.
And then also, if you want to donate to the paypal.me/Saralise, that's the other way that you can, that's the easy way to just pay me on PayPal for the, and it's friends and family. It's just,
and it's whatever
like a gift.
People want to donate as a gift. It's just a matter of connecting energetically and having that exchange, and getting some of this material out to people. So people can kind of sample and get a feel for, seeing how the energy is working in there. If you haven't, let me say this, if you haven't worked with a person like Saralise around your energy field, you're opening up to all that's going on the planet, Mandela Effect, the flat earth, the moon acting different, all this stuff that's going on, and you're just going like, ooh. And I would suggest that you jump on the opportunity to work with Saralise, because when you work with a practitioner like Saralise, it's like getting a massage. We understand getting a massage, or we understand, getting a chiropractic back adjustment. I mean, there's things like that now we understand, but still the energy work is still one of those areas that people think,
right.
I mean, like am I really going to walk away with anything? Is it like, does anything really tangible happens? And guys, tangible things really do happen.
Yeah,
so
there's a direct result.
Sort of look at it. Yeah, there is a direct result. So definitely look at it like that you're just really taking care of your energy systems the same way you would take care of other aspects of your physical health. That's one way of looking at it.
It's an energy adjustment for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And for those of you who have done this before and you know what it's like, well, then definitely jump on, because Saralise is very, very, very powerful. She has a lot of beautiful healing energy that just comes through all the time. And I get it, just us exchanging the way we do, we're sitting talking, that energy is just constantly bouncing back and forth. So, you really wouldn't be disappointed. And this is an awesome opportunity to take part in it. So I just really wanted to say that, because oftentimes, people who are new to this, they don't really, I didn't get it like years ago when I went down that road of starting to have energy work done. I didn't know, my Reiki teacher, who was a Reiki master, who I ultimately became a Reiki master through, she was one of the first people that really started working with me energetically. And I didn't know, but when I worked with, I was like, oh my God. When I went to her place and the candles were going and this was happening, and I'd lay out on the bed. When I get up, I was like, oh, whoa, there's some real stuff really happened here,
Yeah.
And that just took me down the path. I've never turned back. But so I wanted to just say that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, just so people know, because they might not actually know anything about me, but I am a doctor of vibrational medicine, and I've been working at this for about 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I started this when I was really young. Like, I was already in it when I was young, but then because of my experience in some programs, military programs, I was augmented.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also studied on top of that. So I have abilities that aren't necessarily common.
Right.
And so it is an honor and a privilege for me to be able to share my gifts in this way.
Yes.
Because I choose not to share them in the way that I had to before. I am now choosing to use them for the good of humanity. It was all for the good of humanity, quote unquote, but now I'm in a position where I can actually be in service to humanity, and it feels really good.
Right.
And so I am a master Reiki practitioner, Reiki master in 2 different forms of Reiki. And I have, I have vibrational medicine. I have like, it runs the gamut. I was a massage therapist. I mean, you name it, I've done it.
Yeah, exactly. I know that feeling.
And I counsel people with satanic ritual abuse and like, PTSD and military and like targeted individuals. So, I mean, it runs the gamut. It's not like I'm just a Reiki practitioner or, I've been doing all levels of this for a really long time.
Right.
And so I trust what comes out of my mouth. I trust that what I'm bringing is clear.
Right.
And so that's important, I think, for people to understand and hear, is that I am coming from a place of complete authenticity with this stuff.
Right. And
yeah.
And definitely. And I want to say also, since you made up the point of talking about not just being a Reiki master or just not being this, one of the things that I want to also say to people is that don't worry about going down the path of someone saying this is a good modality or this isn't a good modality or that's the best modality, because truly, and it's just from my own experience, having done a number of different types of energy work over the years, and as an artist and an intuitive working, is that I noticed that from the time that I became a Reiki master in the early 1990s, like 91, to as I started flowing through, you can feel the difference of the energy upgrading. You can inside, once you connect with the energy, you can feel the upgrades. And every time you turn around, it's called a new thing. It's called the next thing. It's called that thing. Then it's the newest thing. And I just got my certificate in that thing. But what I'm noticing is that through it all, I can feel the upgrades. The Reiki that came through me in the 90s has definitely flatlined. It is something completely different.
Right.
So just know it's better to go there again with your gut. Don't go to the head about it's this modality, it's that modality, it's this, is that, the other. Go to the spirit, go to the gut, and connect with people who it just feels right. It feels right energetically. Your signatures are already starting to lock in, because I find I have so many conversations with people, Saralise, where you can almost, if you allow it, you get into a debate about which methodology is the best now. And, as if, and you and I have been in it long enough. I mean, I know for myself, close to 30 years as well, as you're saying, that I have seen the energy. I have felt the transformation of the energy personally, not like someone has told me it's happening. I have felt it personally. I feel how the energy changes and how it moves through my hands, and how when you put your hands up, you can feel there's different type of energies that are moving through. Someone doesn't have to tell you that once you've connected with it. So just be careful. If you feel good about Saralise, you like what's feeling, just call her. Because it really is about connecting energetically. Don't worry about if someone if someone told you yesterday, only do, Qigong, Donkey Dumpy Donkey Anka, or whatever. And you're like, well, do you do Qigong, Donkey, whatever? It's like, no, I don't. What is that? Oh, it's energy. Oh, yeah, it's just all Jing and Chi and all that other stuff. So
so I want to say this actually, because I think this is really important. Reiki,
Ki
is the life force energy.
Yep.
And Ray is the ray of life force energy, this universal life force energy that is coming through our hands.
Yes.
Or it's a current of energy.
It's a current.
So everybody has access to this energy.
Yes,
it's not like any one particular person is more, it's like it's exclusively theirs.
No, we could be more tuned because we've been open to it, but not exclusive.
Only because we practiced, only because we've done the work. It's not like we have access to it and you don't. It's just not like that. Everybody has access to the information. Everybody has access to the energy. But it's about being in a safe container and being with people that are authentic and that you can trust.
Exactly.
Right. And that you know that that person can manage and handle the container that they have.
Right.
So that you're safe, you know, because a lot of this is about safety.
It's
actually.
about,
It's about energetic safety. And so I've noticed that in the past, you know, there are people that they think they're talking to their guides.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And they're not.
They're not.
Well, they are talking to guides, but those guides are not necessarily benevolent.
They haven't been vetted properly.
Right, because they don't know how to discern between those frequencies, right? Because there's the false light frequencies. So with people like you and me, we have taken the time and the energy and the effort to really use discernment and to figure out those frequencies and to operate on specific frequencies so that we know that the container that we're holding is clear.
Right, exactly.
Vibrationally, energetically, and the frequency is of a, you know, it's of a benevolent nature, right?
Right, exactly.
So I think that's a key point that people I want to share.
Yeah,
that,
definitely.
You know,
definitely. That's a good point to make.
That's important to know.
Yeah, it is. Well, all righty. Well, we'll get ready to close the show for another week. And probably we'll be off for a couple of weeks. And when you get back, we'll have a big catch-up fest. From, you know, your time in Europe and doing some of the ceremonies over there. In the meantime, definitely connect with Saralise before she gets traveling again. And I was just getting ready to think that I'll probably be traveling the third week of May, but we'll talk.
Well, that's the same time. We're traveling at the same time.
So that's perfect. Yeah. Okay, good. And so anyway, guys, thanks a lot for hanging out with us. We said this before. We need to make these a live session so people can jump on.
Live chats. We can do
maybe
that.
On your channel,
Zoom
you can we can make Google Hangouts live.
We can stream live. I think streaming live would be the way to go. What's that?
Yes. Maybe you could share on your Facebook group, and I'll share on mine so people will know, so they can come on, because we would love for you guys to be able to put your questions live in the chat room, and we can just really have
you guys.
definitely, and stay on current with, you know, some of what's happening with you fellas as well. So listen, thanks a lot. Thank you for joining us here at Circle Healing Network. We appreciate we love you. Thank you, Saralise, so much for joining me again, and all of your infinite wisdom and love, and you're just a wonderful, wonderful spirit and friend, and just the representative of the divine feminine.
Too.
I just love you so much. So you're awesome, lady.
Thanks.
So thanks a lot, Guy. We'll be signing off. Peace and love. Have a good week, and we'll be back soon. All righty. Take care. Bye-bye.